Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to High School Hoops with your hosts, Steve Collins and Jake Steger.
All right, episode 132. Luckily, we're not doing the intros like we do for the 5-minute basketball coaching podcast, where it's like I'm giving a bit of history on every number. It's pretty interesting, actually. Like I'm up to like episode 50, so then I look at 50 and the number 50 and all the things that have to do with 50. So it's going to be interesting when I get up to the hundreds. Anyway, before we do that, let's give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine in the market. Mention Coach Unplugged or High School Hoops and get $350 off. And the theme of the month is we just bought our third one. So boom, boom. Can't say I don't like the machines. All right. Also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Hopefully, I guarantee probably we do these a little bit early, and I'm guarantee prices have probably are increased, but they're going to be going up more is what I'm telling you. You want to jump in now. It's the only place on the web where you get a 14-day free trial. That's how much I believe in it. So no one else is giving you 14 days to go kick the tires around other than teachhoops.com. So go over and check it out. And let's head off to so this is this is an interesting topic this week. I've changed on this topic, but I'm gonna let you read it and then give your input first, Coach.
Yelling as a coach. Now, this was a possible topic that you had on down. I did not put this, but you wrote it.
I did.
But I will tell you, I also have a lot of reflection on it too. And so it's basically yelling as a coach. What does that mean? What does that look like? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's just a big topic, but it's definitely something anybody, it's been to recent clinics or anything, it's always a topic of discussion in some capacity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, here's my issue with yelling. Okay. Does the yelling result in better things on the court? Okay. First of all, I'm intense. I yell to correct at times. I definitely don't do it as much as I used to. I also think that you have to think about why you're yelling, if it's an effective way of correcting at that point, because sometimes you have to get their attention. That's the bigger part of I'm not sure the correction. I mean, just being a parent, yelling sometimes I yell, but it doesn't necessarily get the correction I want at that point. But it's making a statement of no, don't run into the street, or no, do not touch the hot stove kind of thing. Sometimes you have to yell to make a point. But I think you have to think of it in terms of this bigger picture, like where are you trying to go and what are you trying to do moving forward with it. I refer to it as the Bobby Knight rule. If you yell all the time, they will just tune you out. They'll take it and then it will just go in one ear and out the next, and they're just going to go on. When I yell at them at halftime or I get upset with them at this point in my career, they know I'm mad. Because I don't yell that much, but when I yell, whoa, So I consider it more like an ace in the hole. Things that I got that when I need to jumpstart them, I'll sometimes take a 30-second and just yell at them to jumpstart them. And some of it's acting. And yes, I'm filling out my taxes, and I do have to pay taxes from two California casting companies because I was in a Facebook ad. So I am a decent actor. I can't believe they sent me W-2s. I got to pay taxes on my acting for Facebook. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, it's the world I live in, I guess. I guess I'll have to pay the taxes, but to be honest with you, I don't mind paying the taxes. I just totally forgot they paid me to be in the commercial. But anyway, what's your thought, Coach? I mean, definitely younger days, younger temperament. I definitely yelled more than
I would say that I was constantly yelling all the time. And I think another thing was constantly yelling at referees, yelling this, and that. And I think sometimes yelling.
That's a really good point about referees too. It's like, oh gosh.
And the more and more that I've learned and more I reflect, and I guess my mindset has changed because I have kids now and just becoming more of an experienced teacher and coach, is that like yelling can only.
Hey everybody, hope you're enjoying it. I'm going to give a big shout out to our two other podcasts in the Coach Market media conglomerate, Teacher Side Gig. So go over and check that out. And High School Hoops. So Teacher Side Gig is talking about teachers and their side gigs and how they make a little bit of extra money. And High School Hoops talks about obviously high school basketball once a week, and we try to keep that as pertinent. That's kind of like your day. If things are going on, we're talking about that. We do those weekly. And it's always fun for me to talk to Jake about that. Make sure you subscribe and like to this one. Leave a review. We would appreciate that. And go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. All right, let's get back to that.
Like yelling can only take you so much, and I think you almost become overly exhausted. You become physically exhausted. And you're not as good. We talk about end of game situations, right? And being mentally prepared and having those things in your toolbox to know to make the right decision. If you're constantly you're constantly yelling and you're not taking the time to be cerebral in yourself, that's a problem. I think the other thing is not allowing your players to think for themselves is huge too.
Yeah.
And you can't say, oh, pass here, pass there. Like, we've all been there, right? Early in our careers, we want them to do this, and this. And like you say, sooner or later, you just become tuned out.
Micromanage. Stop micromanaging. Yes. Yeah. No one wants to be yelled at all the time either. That's what in my youth I just didn't realize. Come on, people. No one wants to be yelled at all the time. So when you're yelling at the officials or yelling at your players all the time, what does that convey?
And I think you start to think about what can you put in your back pocket that is just as effective as yelling. Okay. So I'll give you a couple of scenarios. If you're a big fan on effort, right? And a kid's not busting their butt on the floor, right? You pull them out. They know why they're out, and they'll ask, well, you're not working hard. You know what I mean? You don't even have to scream at them to be like, all right, this is why you're not on the floor. It's because of your effort. Like, it should already be ingrained in what you do as a team. The second thing is like in yelling. I mean, sooner or later, it's creating expectations. So when things weren't working right in practice and things weren't doing well, we started to run a little bit. Conditioning, it was, I'm not going to keep screaming at you guys. You're not focused. This or that. Go do some. Let's just have run a little extra. Or the other one is like, I've always had consequences for kids that are starters. They were the red team, and the non-starters were the white team, and a kid wasn't working hard, and instead of screaming at him, I make him change his jersey to the non-starters right in the middle of practice. So there are things you can do that are just as effective without screaming at people.
I think that's the key, is like finding things that are just as good that will work.
And I think also in this day and age, I think you have to learn how to protect yourself as a coach in regards to the things that you say and how you act. Okay. And so like when you start to get yelling and you start to get, what's the word I want to say? You're not in the right state of mind or the right psyche. You end up saying something that isn't good or not what you meant or intended. It could ruin your coaching career, that position that you have right now. And I just don't think we're not in a generation anymore where those type of people are the most effective. there are people that are yelling, but they're yelling in a way, it's how you yell too. And maybe it's, if you're yelling and you're being super positive, that's one thing, right? People love that. I mean, look at a lot of the coaches out there, the high energy coaches that are super positive, and those people are building off of that. And that's great. It's what you put within that yell. You know what I mean?
I do too.
I just
think
if you could,
here's our full court or full timeout. Only teach one thing at practice. What would you teach and why?
One thing.
That's a good question. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'll talk to myself. Well, I give to Jake time to think about it, because that was a really good full timeout. Thank you, Jamie.
But it's so hard because, like, really, do you
one thing?
You don't ultimately teach the game in isolation. We know this.
One thing. You can only teach one thing.
One thing?
Yep. I know what I do. Pick one thing.
I would say that the number one thing to me would be, I guess, defense.
I would pick shooting. If I could only teach one thing, I'd pick shooting.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because even if you don't do anything good, but you make shots, you still are within it.
You got a shot. You got a shot at. No pun intended.
I think you had this in the back of your head the whole time and throw me on the spot at the end of this.
I did. It was a great way to end the week.
Well, I was thinking defense, because you know what?
It's March, baby. It's March. Why wouldn't I? It's March.
But I was thinking in the context, defense, you stop them, you eliminate possessions.
March Madness, baby. It's March Madness.
But like, if you can't score, you can't win.
Nope. All right, till next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.